Rise up. Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season. Yo. Yeah. Whoa.
Faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is. It's the straight out of the Bay crew back again. Myself, Jay in the Bay. We got BayAreaBaller18, Amin the Dream, and of course, Kels Chronicles. How's everyone doing? We had to come and have a live show tonight, man. I mean, all of the free agent signings across the NFL and specifically our 49ers. But first, we got to check in with everyone. How's everyone doing today? Let's start off with Amin the Dream. Oh, and how is everyone reacting to the daylight savings time? I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of weird. I know we've probably dealt with it basically all of our life, but how is everyone dealing with daylight savings time? And how are you doing, Amin, on this beautiful, Monday?
Man, it feels great. Beautiful Monday. Daylight savings, it's been okay. It's been a little bit of an adjustment, but definitely helps when your team goes out and makes moves and also loses some players. But the players that you lose, like, no offense, like the majority of the fan base wanted them gone. Jimmy Garoppolo, McGlinchey. But then the big signing in the morning, Javon Hargrave. We'll talk about that later. But man, what a day to be a Niners fan. What makes it so special is that usually, as a Niners fan, we know our team isn't super aggressive, especially early on in the free agency period. I didn't expect much today. I didn't expect much for the first couple of days, but for the Niners to go make the big splash signing in day 2 of free agency and to, bulk up that defensive line, man, it feels great. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, much love to you. Enjoy being an Oakland Raider. I mean, a Las Vegas Raider.
It feels great, baby. It feels great, baby. It feels great. Real talk, I mean, yeah, the daylight savings time, man. I've been a little under the weather. Talk to you guys behind the scenes, so I don't even know what year it is right about now. It's a little bittersweet for me. I'm toughing it out on this show, but hey, man, I'm here. Like good old Kyle Shanahan says, I'm alive. So, yeah, man, I'm here.
Glad you're here, Kelts. I'm doing good. Obviously, very excited about the Niners' moves today, especially the big move of getting Javon Hargrave. Daylight savings, I'm fine. Although my wife did tell me when I came in, she said, I'm tired. I'm probably going to bed early tonight. So it wore her out a little bit.
Yeah, I think daylight saving time, I think it's obviously we've adjusted to it. We're used to it. We've had it every year that we've been on this earth. But when it happens, I'm still kind of surprised. For some reason.
I believe except for Hawaii. I think my wife just laced me up on that one. Her father's side is from Hawaii, so
they don't celebrate it.
Okay. Yeah, so I learned that one today. So that's pretty dope for Hawaii.
Hey, that's something else I learned today as well, man. But other than that, I'm doing good. I was surprised by the free agency frenzy by the 49ers. I definitely did not expect us to basically go all in on the defensive line and sign basically the best defensive lineman available. But we'll definitely get into that. I got to say huge shout out to everyone that's in the chat. We have E. Kim. We have Raphael 562 Niners. We got John. blazing. Appreciate everyone that's tuning into the stream, whether you're watching on Jay and the Bay, Bay Area Baller, Amin the Dream, Straight Out of the Bay, or Kelts Chronicles. We appreciate all the support. If you guys are excited about the Javon Hargrave signing, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We would appreciate it. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about, this is the biggest signing, I think, in quite some time. I know we signed Charvarius Ward last year, and that was a huge signing as well. But to pair up Javon Hargrave with Eric Armstead, Drake Jackson, Nick Bosa, I mean,
I didn't think they could pull it off, Jay.
I know, right?
I didn't think John Lynch could pull it off. I was looking at lower tiered, whether it's defensive ends, defensive tackles. No, John Lynch said, we're going to the top of the board, made a big boy move. I didn't think they could pull it off, but I'm damn happy, and I'm pumped up about it. The player, I mean, I was just looking at PFF's metrics on him. He had the third highest pass rushing grade as an interior lineman.
Let's get it.
He's just a phenomenal pass rusher. I believe he had 11 sacks last year, and that's from the interior. When you get pressure from the interior, that really baffles quarterbacks because that's immediate pressure in their face. So now that, they can't look downfield. It's just that interior pressure is lethal, and they just added one of the best in the game at it. So I'm super pumped up about it.
Hey, just quickly, just to go over the numbers with his contract. So it was a 4-year deal. What's most important is his cap hit in 2023 is only $6.6 million. He got a $23 million signing bonus. So obviously that's great cap work by Parag, keeping his cap number low. And I believe the last 2 years of the contract are voidable, with the small dead cap penalty. We know the routine. But Kelts, I mean, what were your thoughts? Were you surprised by this move? The 49ers going all in on defensive tackle and picking up Javon Hargrave? What were your initial thoughts?
I completely forgot our last Straight Out of the Bay show, that I put him on the thumbnail. So I kind of did that like, hey, that's the bar. That's the highest one. I put him, Herbig, I threw in Tom Brady. That's when Tom Brady, stuff was surfacing again, but I completely forgot I put that on the thumbnail. I was like, that's pretty dope. But my first
spoke it into existence.
Hey man, I put it. I pictured it on there. Pictured it into existence. Real
That's
talk.
A good call,
Hey man, and then so my first two thoughts, I instantly thought about righting the wrong of DeForest Buckner, and then I instantly thought about DJ Jones, and then I thought about us a few. I don't know how long ago back, but I remember going on and on about, man, just missing DJ Jones, how quick he was once he did bust through, and his closing speed to the quarterback. Like, go back and watch DJ Jones, man, and it just looks very reminiscent of Javon. Hargraves. What I believe his nickname is the Grave Digger, the golden, and I mixed it up on there and thought about the golden Grave Digger. So there he is, man. He's a beast. We went and did it. 49er faithful, rise up. We're in it to win it. We're coming for 6, as we should always be. But hey, man, these are the kind of moves you go get a CMC. You go swing for the fences for a Hargrave. Phenomenal. Great job. That's what needed to be done, whether it was the O-line. And then I also thought they're getting back to their roots. When they first came into this thing 7 years ago, they were firm on saying, hey, we want to have the most dominant defensive line. And they're getting back to that. So it was
last year wasn't it, Kelts? It was kind of a one-man show with Bosa. Obviously it was a team effort, Omenihu had to struggle, but it was a one-man show. So now, like you said, you're bringing in Javon Hargrave and getting back to their roots. I love it.
Real talk. So those were pretty much my initial takeaways from it.
Just quick statistics on Javon Hargrave the last 2 seasons. So he's had 118 pressures, 19 sacks, 62 stops, and a 19% win rate. I think this is definitely production that we did not see, especially when Eric Armstead was out. I thought Kevin Givens was good in stints and spurts, but I mean, this definitely is the best defensive line, I think, in the NFL. Amin the Dream, what were your thoughts? Were you shocked that the 49ers went all in on Javon Hargrave?
I mean, I was definitely shocked. I saw, Schefter tweeted out, and Schefter tweeted out, former Eagles defensive tackle Javon Hargrave signed this, contract, and I clicked on it, and I saw the Niners, and at first I was shocked. I was like, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan pulled this off? Like, we got Javon Hargrave? Another stat to point out is Javon Hargrave alone had 66 pressures alone last year. And the Niners defense as a team had 88 pressures. So imagine one guy adding 66 having 66 pressures and adding that to this Niners defensive line with Nick Bosa, having Eric Armstead, playing next to Hargrave, and then we obviously will find out what Drake Jackson is, but this is just a huge move for the Niners. And I don't know if this is 100% true, but I heard that other teams were offering Hargrave more money, but he wanted to play with this defensive line, and he wanted to play for the Niners because of the guys that we have, because of this, how special this team is and how special our defensive line and our defense is. And he decided to come play for the Niners for less money, and he took less money to come play with us. But this is just a huge move for the 49ers. I'm definitely shocked, still excited, and excited to see, the havoc that this defensive line will, wreak on the opposing offenses and opposing quarterbacks next season.
Yeah, I think this move definitely weakens the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, hey, they were runner-up in the Super Bowl last year. It weakens them. Obviously, I'm sure we all feel that the Eagles are still one of the better teams in the NFC, and we could see them again in the NFC Championship game. So we take one of their best defensive linemen away and add him onto the squad. It also signifies to me that the Javon Kinlaw experiment is officially over. I heard that he is on, the trade block. I don't know what a team would offer for him, but I don't think there's any way the 49ers would cut him. I don't think. But I think Javon Kinlaw, if he stays with the team, I wouldn't mind. I mean, he would just be he would just spell the starters at this point in his tenure with the 49ers. Maybe he plays 10 snaps a game. I wouldn't mind that. But hell of a move for the 49ers. I was not expecting this. I was shocked when I saw the headline on TV. I was like, what? The 49ers signing Javon Hargrave? That's an incredible move. And as Bay Area Baller mentioned last year, it was kind of a one-man show at times along the defensive line. It was just Bosa. We saw a little bit of a Minihue, especially when Armstead was out. It was basically just Bosa. Samson would get in there a little bit, but with this four-man front, if they can stay healthy and, Drake Jackson, Armstead, Hargrave, and then, of course, Bosa. And I won't be surprised if the 49ers add a edge rusher, maybe a veteran edge rusher. I'm sure I won't be surprised if we bring back a Jordan Willis or maybe even a Kerry Hyder or even draft an edge rusher to help compete with Drake Jackson. So I think the sky is the limit for this 49ers defense, and it just got better today. John,
can I add one thing, Jay?
Yeah.
And one more thing is, everybody kind of knows it, but Drake Jackson, can you imagine if he just takes a little bit of, a step up, a little bit of an improvement, or just kind of takes that leap that Aaron Banks took in his second year? If he just takes that leap and this defensive line is already good, if you pair him up next to Nick Bosa and obviously, Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead in the interior, if he's able to stay healthy, this defensive line is going to be insane. And, obviously you could go and address, draft another edge or even address it in free agency. We'll see. All over Twitter today was going around that the Niners are not done yet. The Niners are not done yet. I kept checking my phone every 2 seconds. I was like, are we going to get someone else big? Are the Niners going to make another big signing? But, right now, the way that this team is constructed right now, we obviously have, Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. We obviously signed Sam Darnold, which we'll get into later. But this defense just got a whole lot better today. And if the quarterbacks can stay healthy, this team is going to be scary next season.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I would love to see Drake Jackson, as long as all of us would love to see him take that next step. But there are some veteran edge rushers out there. I don't know if the Niners would necessarily be in the market for them. It depends on what type of deal they could get. But there's a Yannick Ngakoue, there's Robert Quinn, Frank Clark, Leonard Floyd. I know those are still big names, but you never know. They might want to take a one-year flyer if they can't get a long-term deal on the free agent market. So we'll see what happens with that. But as Amin the Dream alluded to, the 49ers did sign some other guys in free agency. Tashawn Gibson, we bring him back. We bring back Gibbons. And then we also brought in, I should say, Sam Darnold. Obviously, he didn't make the most out of his opportunity in New York. And obviously he lost the starting job with the Carolina Panthers. But what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, he will be, I don't know. I think at the start of the season, I think he could be the backup quarterback to Trey Lance. There's been speculation that Brock Purdy could possibly start on the PUP list. We'll see what happens when we get toward the end of August. But what's everyone's thoughts on Sam Darnold?
I think it's a good move.
You may.
I think it's a good move. You know, okay. Obviously they spent big on Javon Hargrave, and I was the baller followers know that I was saying it was going to be a cheap quarterback. All right, they weren't. You know, whoever was floating out, Mariota or Brissett, that wasn't going to happen. The Niners want to allocate the quarterback money elsewhere, right? When you have a Trey Lance, you have a Brock Purdy, you're bringing in a third string quarterback, and it's like, what veteran is going to just want to accept the third string role? Well, Sam Darnold did. And I heard a stat today. He was 4-2 after he took over from Baker Mayfield. I didn't confirm that, but
and he only threw like 3 interceptions, I believe. 4-2, only threw 3 interceptions.
I think he had like 93 rating, like 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Did money come out? Like, did we find out how much money we're paying Darnold? Has that been released or not yet?
I don't think so.
It's crazy how free agency really doesn't open until Wednesday, you know, but hey, the legal tampering period, we got action. Just what an exciting day. But I like the Darnold signing. Tayshaun Gibson, I felt like we were going to bring back one of the guys when we were talking Tayshaun Gibson, Jimmy Ward. I know we're going to touch on Jimmy Ward here in a little bit, but yeah, thank you, Jimmy Ward, for your services. But Gibson's back. He had a strong year last year. This guy's a ball hawk. And I want to say that deal's under $3 million for Gibson.
Gibson, yeah.
Gibson?
I think it's like, it's under 3. It's like 2.9.
I mean, that's a bargain. That's a bargain for a starting safety. And
Kevin
Kevin Givens, I'm a big Kevin Givens guy. He was on the field a bit more than the Niners expected him to be, but he was filling in. The Niners were really banged up at the defensive tackle position, and Kevin Givens held his own. So now next year, you're bringing him in more on a complementary role. He won't have to be, you know, play 40 to 50% of snaps like he did at times this season. So you put Givens back in his role, really just a strong day from the 49ers.
Really? Absolutely. Just real quick on Nick's comment, he says, any chance they find money for Jesse Bates? I believe he signed with the Atlanta Falcons, or at least they
4 years, $64.5 million. Not gonna happen.
Not going to happen. So hopefully the 49ers draft a safety. And Terradome, thanks for coming in. He says that Tayshaun Gibson was a great re-sign. His value is $8 to $10 million. We got him for 2.19. Awesome. Yeah, hopefully he can replicate, you know, last year. That's what we hope. In regards to the super chat, it says trade for Smith. Vikings just signed Davenport. Is he talking about Zadarius Smith or talking about Harrison?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's Zadarius.
Okay. I think Zadarius is a free agent.
Did they end up?
They didn't release him.
I know
they didn't officially release him. They didn't
Okay.
officially release him, but it's probably going to end up happening.
Okay.
Hey man, if we could swoop on Zadarius Smith, but hey, just to answer, that'd be amazing. But to answer your question about Sam Darnold, I mean, hey man, there's a reason why he was a former number 3rd overall pick. You know, he was super talented coming out of USC. And I can imagine someone like Shanahan, you know, thinking what he could do with someone like Sam Darnold. I seen a clip on Twitter today where versus the Niners, where he threw one of the throw that he threw. I don't know if you guys seen it, but it was reminiscent of Trey Lance, that one that went viral when he was in practice, and he kind of, threw the ball, running to the left, I believe, and kind of just flick of the wrist. But I mean, hey, with the 49ers, you know, we can all sit here and say Brock's number 1, Trey's number 1. This is going to happen. None of us know what's going to happen. At the end of the year, we don't know which one of these 3 are going to be the last man standing, the QB number 1. I could see all 3 of these guys doing well under Shanahan. So I'm juiced about it, man. That's a huge leap up to have a Darnold over a Josh Johnson, in my opinion. And so I think it was a great signing for sure.
What say you, Amin?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously love the Deshaun Gibson signing as much as he was at times a liability at the safety position in coverage. So was Talanoa Hufanga sometimes, but for what we got out of him last year, played 17 games, was solid. Came in with Jimmy Ward. Obviously broke his hand early on the season. Came in and did relatively nice. So I personally liked the Deshaun Gibson signing. Hopefully we can get somewhat of the same production that we got from him last year. So I like that Deshaun Gibson re-sign. I don't know exactly if the Jimmy Ward contract details came out. I think someone put it out. So Jimmy Ward got a 2-year, 13 million, 6.5 million per season, and the max value is 14.5 million.
That's it? He's getting $6 million a season?
So the Niners technically, okay, so here's what I think. If that's how much he is getting, I think the Niners could have re-signed him. But I think the Niners, I think it's a theory, but I think the Niners might have wanted him to play nickel, and he wanted to play safety, and that's why I think he went to Houston, and also D'Amico's there, right? So he wanted to go back to D'Amico. He's been under D'Amico, so that's maybe one of the reasons why he didn't re-sign with us. Because 6.5, I mean, the Niners, I think they could have afforded that, but I don't.
He wasn't happy here. I think he wasn't happy here.
Yeah.
Like you said, he wanted to play
He wanted to play
safety.
safety.
Hey, Shanahan said, "Hey, you gonna ride the pine, or you gonna play that nickel quarterback?"
Hey man, I'm not trying to be a hater or nothing, but because I love Jimmy Ward, right? Straight dog. Like as a football player, I want Jimmy Ward on my team. But am I the only one that noticed? Like, I don't know if it's just me, and I try not to find reasons to hate on anybody. The football, life, all of it. But he seemed hella slow to me. I don't know. Is that just my eyes, or am I just am I tripping? I'm just curious if anyone else noticed that Jimmy Ward, to me, he seems slow.
In coverage, right? More so in coverage.
Whenever I would see him like pick the ball up, like whether it was the interception or is trying to just take it to the house, I'm like, that's it. Like there's not an extra. It just felt like slow motion, man. I don't know if it's just something.
He's getting up there.
Were you expecting Tyreek Hill in the 60-meter dash?
He's getting up there in age.
Bro.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward. We saw him. Occasionally he'd get toasted in the slot, but what you loved about him was just how good of a run fit he is. Yeah. Right, he's a willing tackler. He's just a darn good football player. The longest tenured Niner. It's sad. I'm sad to see him go, and I wish him all the best with the Texans.
Yeah,
but hey, the Niners obviously, they know what they're doing, and what I'm starting to think is, okay, Jimmy Ward's gone. Did they prioritize Emmanuel Moseley over Jimmy Ward? Are they going to?
I hope they. I agree with the move though. If they do, if they did prioritize Eman over Jimmy,
that's what
Ward,
I would have done.
I agree with that 100%.
Because I honestly think if you stick E-Man back outside, and I've always thought, I've been an advocate of Diamador Lenore just as a player in general, but I always thought he profiles as a nickel. So if you are able to bring E-Man back, I think that would be the move where you'd shift Demo into that nickel spot. And I think, to be honest, Demo's also, he's a willing tackler. That's the thing. All of our corners, really good tackles, stick their nose in the run game. And I think Demo could be a good nickel. And E-Man is probably even better than Diamador Lenore when he's right on the outside. So the coverage could be even stickier.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all said a couple weeks back that we would have chosen E-Man over Ward. So you could just feel it. We all knew it was time. Ward pretty much said so himself. So it is what it is. Like you guys were saying. Best of wishes to him. I'm sure he's still a dog. He still lays the wood. I see the comments. Hey, man, he was a great Niner. Real talk. He's been here for a long time. So, salute to him.
And
no, absolutely. Jimmy Ward deserves all the accolades. But unfortunately, Tayshaun Gibson, took his spot, and Tayshaun Gibson didn't want to leave that up. And I think even if the Niners paid Jimmy Ward more, I think he still would have went to Houston because he wants to play that free safety spot. And love Jimmy Ward. Wasn't a great ball hog. I mean, we kind of saw that over his career, but he did everything else excellent. So, obviously wishing him success with the Houston Texans. Amin, did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, outside of obviously the Jimmy Ward thing, I think it's a great fit in Houston. Obviously, can teach the younger guys system and what D'Amico likes. So obviously, a great fit. Wishing him all the best. Jimmy Ward's a dog. The interesting thing about the Sam Darnold signing is that people are talking about it all over Twitter, right? When Sam Darnold, obviously there's a lot of mixed, emotions. A lot of fans are like, "No, we signed Sam Darnold. What the hell? Why would you bring him in as a third string quarterback?" People are throwing out, does this show Shanahan's lack of trust in his quarterbacks, or does it show that he trusts his quarterbacks? And the way that I really look at it is, Sam Darnold, like you mentioned, Kelts brought up a great point, is that Sam Darnold was a third overall pick for a reason, right? There's something there. He obviously, we haven't seen it in the NFL so far, but he is a good and capable quarterback. He's not been in the greatest situations with the Jets and Adam Gase, and obviously with the Panthers. So you have to take that into consideration. He
Oh
hasn't
yeah.
been in the greatest situation. Now, bringing him on this Niners team, what I love so much about this move is that he's the backup. He doesn't have to be the starter. And the thing is, the weapons that we have, Brock Purdy, who's a 7th-round pick, can come in and take us to the NFC Championship game and elevate this offense, and just obviously, I'm not saying Sam Darnold is going to come in and elevate this offense, but Sam Darnold as your third string is really not that bad. It's a good signing. Is it an improvement over Josh Johnson? It is an improvement over
Yeah.
Josh Johnson, right? And we'll only have to see Sam Darnold on the field is if Trey Lance and Brock Purdy go down, which I hope, I pray that doesn't happen. But Sam Darnold as a third string is really not that bad of a signing. And all he has to do is come in and kind of do what Brock Purdy did last year. And Brock Purdy, he elevated his offense, played really well. But, with the weapons that we have on offense, with the running game, I mean, it's really not that hard to succeed in this offense, as a quarterback. You don't really got to do a lot. So Sam Darnold as a third string, I think they did fine there. It's not, a Jacoby Brissett or a Marcus Mariota. It's not, or a Matt Ryan. People are throwing out Matt Ryan. It's not anybody like that. But Sam Darnold is still a good signing. And when I look at this move, I think this shows Shanahan trusts Trey Lance and trusts Brock Purdy. Because if he didn't, maybe we might see a Matt Ryan come in. Or maybe we might see if the Colts released a Matt Ryan and they got, I don't know if he's released or not, but let's say the Colts release Matt Ryan and we sign Matt Ryan. That I could see as, maybe Shanahan is bringing in Matt Ryan because he doesn't fully trust his two quarterbacks, Purdy and getting healthy, and he still doesn't trust Trey Lance. But bringing in Sam Darnold, what that shows me is Shanahan has full trust in Trey Lance and in Brock Purdy because he's bringing in a guy that's a little bit older, but that still has pretty much the same amount of experience, if that makes sense. So, I like the move. I don't mind Darnold as a third string, and then obviously the Given signing, I also thought that was a good signing. But Sam Darnold, I mean, I like the signing, and I think you don't have to utilize him. He's your third string, but to bring him in as your third string, that shows me, and that as a fan, that shows me that Shanahan has trust in Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, and if anything, if those two quarterbacks go down, you have Sam Darnold who can come in and I think can play some meaningful snaps for you because this is a much better team than what he's been on the past couple of years with the Jets and with the Panthers.
Oh,
What
hey.
are we talking about here? We talking about a third, real quick, just talking about a third string quarterback. I mean, who were people expecting, the 49ers to sign? In the best case scenario, he doesn't see the field. If Purdy and Lance are healthy, he won't even see the field.
No other team cares who they're bringing in to be their third quarterback.
That's a third string.
It's
I mean, come on,
recency
man.
bias because we had all these injuries, but it's like that was such an anomaly. Sorry, keep going, Jay.
I was just going to say, with Darnold, I saw some people in the chat saying he's 25 years old. He's thrown 61 touchdowns and 55 interceptions. So he's been very consistent.
That's what the
He's
Jets.
been very, very, that's what the Jets. He's also been injury prone as well. I mean, we're talking about a guy who missed 3 games due to mono. He's missed 20 plus games over the past 5 years. So he has gotten banged up. But best case scenario, he doesn't see the field, and honestly, if a third string quarterback is seeing the field and he's not playing like Brock Purdy, do we really think that he can take us where we want to go? I mean, I don't think so. Go ahead, Coach.
I was gonna say, hey, what's up, Odell? I see you in the chat over here. Wait, hold on.
OBJ,
I like that. I like that.
Wait, hold on.
Official.
What's that, Odell?
That's also something we were going to talk
We're
about.
ahead of Schefter and Rappaport. We're ahead of
Odell
Schefter and Rappaport.
Odell got something to say. Odell said, you want how much money? Oh, no, we're good, bro. We're good. We're good. We're good off all that. Nah, but we see y'all in the chat. Much love to everybody. I seen a super chat over here. We got Jaguayo56. Good stuff for coming through, my man. He says, am I tripping or did all the players go to the AFC? We know that Jimmy James Richard, he definitely went over there to the Raiders. So he's over there. Who else?
Baller, Zach Wilson. What happened to Zach Wilson? You know,
Uh-oh.
if I remember clearly, from at least the last interview that I've heard from Zach Wilson, he said if they bring in a veteran quarterback, I'm going to make his life hell. And that's a quote from Zach Wilson. So will Zach Wilson really make Aaron Rodgers' life hell if he does come and pull through to New York? Will he make Aaron Rodgers' life hell? I wonder. That's an interesting question.
I was waiting for the London accent for a minute there.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, yeah, there it is. Hey, yeah, I'm not too sure about all the free agents. Maybe you guys know a little bit more than I do, but we appreciate you, Jaguayo, everybody else who's in the chat. We see all you guys, Terradome, Bebop, Dolly, Robert Davis, all you guys. Much love, much appreciated. And yeah, man, good stuff.
Hey, just to put a button on Sam Darnold, I like what Roberto says. Looks like I can't see the chat. Hold on. Looks like, hold on, let me read Roberto's comment. I think he said something basically the third string quarterback is like the third runner up in a county beauty pageant. You know, they don't need to be heard or seen. Exactly. There it is right there. I like that, man. I like that. We spoke briefly about our free agent departures. Obviously, one of the most talked about offensive lineman over the last 5 years, Mike McGlinchey. He gets paid. We need those dollar signs, BayAreaBaller. He got paid. I think it was like a 5-year, $87 million deal to go to the Denver Broncos. I'm happy for Double M. He's earned it. Obviously, he hasn't been the greatest right tackle, but obviously he was the best free agent right tackle on the market, and he got paid generational wealth to Double M. I hope he does well in Denver. Of course, Jimmy G goes to Vegas. I think it's like a 3-year, $67 million deal. And Hassan Ridgeway and Jimmy Ward, they go to Houston. So any surprises out of these players? I'll go first. I was surprised that Jimmy G signed with the Raiders. And I thought it's interesting. Jimmy G only gets $22 million a year, but Daniel Jones gets like 40. Like that's crazy. I don't really understand that, but Jimmy G has some weapons with the Raiders. I heard that they need to improve their offensive line. I don't think Jimmy G is an upgrade over Derek Carr, though. Honestly, I feel like that's a lateral move. But I appreciate everything Jimmy G has done for the franchise. Hope he does well with the Raiders. BayAreaBaller, what are your thoughts on these free agent departures? What do you think?
Hey, Russell Wilson coming off a bad year. You better be wary of pass rushers coming off that right side, okay? Because I don't know if you heard, Russ, but you got Mike McGlinchey protecting that right side. He got overpaid. I don't know. You see a bunch of lists where he is at the top of the right tackle market, and to me, I think I'd probably rather have a few other guys ahead of Mike, namely, the guy from the Bucks, McGarry, and the Chief. There's a Juwan Taylor.
Yeah, he's signed with the Chiefs.
Yeah. But besides the point, McGlinchey got overpaid. Jimmy Ward going to Houston, that's probably the biggest surprise to me. I know it always made sense. We knew D'Amico was going to pluck some guys. I thought it was going to be Aziz, and Nick in the chat said surprised Aziz hasn't gone to Houston yet. That's what I thought, because Aziz is a younger guy, whereas Jimmy Ward's a vet. 2 years in Houston. Sorry, Jimmy, you're not winning a Super Bowl these next couple of years in Houston. So that's where, and it's just over $6 million for Jimmy. That one has surprised me the most. Jimmy G going to Vegas. I'm with you, Jay, whereas it's like Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo, they're in that same tier of quarterback. I'd probably give the edge to Derek Carr just because I think he can stretch the field. He's a little bit more willing and more accurate down the field. Devontae Adams, I don't think Devontae's too excited with the
No?
acquisition of Jimmy G.
What makes you
I
say
don't
that?
think so. I don't know. Did he say something on Instagram? I'm not on Instagram, but he said something that didn't seem like, if you ain't hit me up in the last 2 weeks, don't hit me up. I'm paraphrasing, but it was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Maybe he got hacked, man. That happens nowadays, man. Maybe he got hacked.
The Raiders are going nowhere with Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, we know Patrick Mahomes is in the AFC West. Then you got Herbert. The Chargers, to me, are clearly the number 2 team there. And then now the Raiders and the Broncos, those teams are some cellar dwellers.
Yeah.
Cellar dwellers. I like it. Yeah, man, there's not it wasn't surprising. I think we all knew Mike McGlinchey was going to get more money somewhere else, and we all knew it was time for Jimmy. But it is still lightweight surprising to see Jimmy like gone. It's like he's finally freaking gone. And sometimes I'll go completely outside the box and think about stuff that not too many people think about, but it feels like the past few years there has been a little weird juju. Some little weird cloud hovered over the 49ers, and I've joked around about it, and I'm lightweight serious. Now watch all of a sudden the 49ers get stupid healthy. Am I blaming it all on Jimmy Garoppolo? Can he make Raheem Mostert get hurt? Did he have something to do with Bosa? No. It's like I'm not looking at it like that, but watch the health of the 49ers just get well. I don't know. Sometimes things weird like that happen. But yeah, man, I'm glad that is over with. It felt like it brought a lot of toxicity, whether some people loved him or not. Props to Jimmy for what he did do here. But hey, it's a new day. It's time to continue to build with these young guys that we got, and just a breath of fresh air. Man, just flip the page. It's time for the next chapter. Let's get number 6.
Yeah, I mean, first off with Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm not the biggest Jimmy Garoppolo fan. If you've watched, my channel and some of my older videos, I'm not a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan whatsoever. But I appreciate what he's done for this team. This team was kind of irrelevant. We were going through slumps. Jim Tomsula, Chip Kelly, didn't have the greatest season, and then he comes in and win 5 games in a row and kind of, was the spark of this team. Had a couple of injuries, was on the team, was the quarterback when we made it to the Super Bowl. But we've had a lot of ups and downs with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. You could probably say more downs than ups, but appreciate Jimmy's time with the Niners. Was, in that 2017 stretch, just made me love watching Niner football, and just the quarterback play from him and the offense was just so much fun to watch, going on that 5-game win streak. So I appreciate Jimmy Garoppolo for what he's done with this team. I'm definitely glad to see him go. It was about time. It should have been last year. Didn't happen. When they brought him back, I was like, what the hell? They brought him back. But I'm glad he's finally gone now. Let's talk about the landing spot, the Raiders. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, he doesn't look good in black and white. I must just say that. He does not look good. What makes it great for me is half my family are Raiders fans. So enjoy watching Jimmy Garoppolo. If he is your starting quarterback, have fun with that. Like, I hope you enjoy. Jimmy Garoppolo wins.
He will be.
He's a winner. He is a winner. So enjoy watching Jimmy Garoppolo, because he is a winner. But that just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to me in the aspect of, unless the Raiders are going to go and draft a quarterback, the Jimmy Garoppolo signing doesn't make sense to me, because Derek Carr is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I don't get what you're doing from Derek Carr already having the 4th best quarterback in the division to, getting rid of him to still having the 4th best quarterback in the division. And
they just saved a lot of money.
They saved money. Like, I like Jimmy, right? I'm not I like Jimmy and what he's done for us at times, with the Niners, but I just don't understand the move, because I don't think he makes your team better. Like, I just don't think he's gonna make your team better. Like, I understand the money aspect of it, and I get it. Carl obviously wants more money. I understand the money aspect of it, but are you gonna win more games with Jimmy Garoppolo? Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is a winner, but this division is stacked. Justin,
I had heard. I don't know if
the
you guys
49ers are a winner.
I had heard the Raiders were in on trading up for that number 1 pick. Obviously, Carolina won out, but in my mind, that was the avenue they needed to go, rather than sign Jimmy. Trading up to number 1,
they weren't gonna get it.
You got to overpay. in terms of draft picks and whatnot. Jimmy Garoppolo, that's like a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. It ain't gonna work.
The Panthers, I mean, they got fleeced. Like
God, man,
DJ Moore, 2 first-round picks, 2 seconds, like they got fleeced.
Well, if the guy they pick is their quarterback for the next 15 years, I mean, but time will tell. But I mean, I could see why Jimmy went to the Raiders only because of the Josh McDaniels connection. Obviously, they were there together with the New England Patriots, so Josh McDaniels is very familiar with Jimmy G. From the outside looking in, man, Jimmy's a winner. You see his win-loss record. You see how many playoff appearances Jimmy G's been in. I think from the outside looking in, that's what you see when you see Jimmy G. But obviously 49er fans, we know what Jimmy G's really about. And the same way Kyle Shanahan believes in Brock Purdy, right? When we all think that Shanahan believes deeply in Brock Purdy totally elevated this offense. Maybe if Jimmy G is, tutored by Josh McDaniels, a guy who believes in him, maybe it'll unleash something in Jimmy G. Clearly, I'm being very optimistic right now, but there's nothing like when your boss or someone you look up to believes in you, has confidence in you. It kind of raises up your level of productivity. So maybe the Raiders can tap into that for Jimmy G, because I'm sure a lot of people will think that, hey, Shanahan doesn't trust Jimmy. Hey, Shanahan took the ball away from Jimmy in the playoffs on several games. So, hey, I'm thinking maybe that could be the case.
Hey,
maybe. What were you gonna say, Kels?
Anything is possible. Anything. But if $130 million didn't motivate and put trust and motivation in Jimmy Garoppolo when we broke, and I know that's what the going price was for quarterback, but that was the
right.
If that didn't motivate him, it's like, man, he got broke off, man, and he wasn't putting in extra time. He wasn't staying in. He would get ghost during the offseason. Kittle, his best friend, couldn't even, get a text message back. Like, we don't want none of that. Like, I got to keep it real, man. When you're smiling, you're doing all this. You got the great slogans, but you ain't putting in the extra work. And you got these young rookies, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, ready to do whatever it takes. Oh, no, I ain't going to play poker with y'all. Like, hey, I got to go study. Trey Lance, building chemistry. It's done. It was long overdue. The 49ers shot from the hip. They shot too soon. They gave them the money. They probably regretted it. They wanted to probably try to get some investment back, kept them a year or two too long, maybe trying to see if they could squeeze Kyle Shanahan's greatness out of it. Look what he did with Jimmy. It didn't work. We should have started Trey from the get. It's in the past. New day. Deuces.
And I mean, but one more thing that you said is that Jimmy doesn't, like, it's not, I wouldn't say, I can't say definitively that he doesn't care, because I don't know what he does in the offseason, because he's so, like, teammates can't get a hold of him, so I can't definitively say that. But from what I've seen, or at least the what the signs tell me, is that Jimmy Garoppolo really doesn't care. You saw in the NFC Championship game him laughing. You see that after games, the games that we lose, he's laughing. You see him throwing an interception, he's walking back to the sideline, he's laughing or he's smiling. And one more, big telling sign is that every single year Jimmy Garoppolo's been on the team, 2017 was his best year. He got injured. 2019, 2020, 2021, and even 2022, he hasn't shown you that he's gotten better, except for this year in the games that he's played. The games that he played this last year.
CMC.
CMC, but there was and Brock Purdy came in and made this offense even better than Jimmy did. But you didn't see any progression from Jimmy Garoppolo. You didn't see him. Yes, sure, little things. He didn't take as many sacks, or Jimmy Garoppolo didn't freeze when he saw a defender. Like, little things. But you didn't see Jimmy Garoppolo make those big improvements, or even just like some noteworthy improvements where you're like, all right, Jimmy, I see you've been working, or I've seen something from you. You saw that in Trey Lance, and I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, or he's going to be the Niners guy. I'm hoping he is. I'm rooting for Trey Lance. But what I do know from Trey Lance is that I see him put in the work. I see him want it. And I see him putting in the work in the offseason. For a rookie to call up, Brandon Ayuk or Trent Sherfield and say, hey, you want to catch some passes on a Saturday in the offseason? And you see the videos come out, him throwing balls to Brandon Ayuk, like, that shows me that you care, and that shows me that you want to get better and you understand in order to be great you have to put in work and you have to have a good work ethic, and that's what that shows me. Now what that will lead to on the field we'll find out, but what I saw from Jimmy Garoppolo is honestly that he didn't care. And even when he off season, I can't really say because I don't know what he does, but when I did see him on the field in season, whenever he used to struggle, it looked like he didn't care, because all you would see him do was smiling, laughing, doing whatever. So Jimmy to the Raiders, I'm glad he's gone. I appreciate what he's done for this team, but I'm glad he's gone. But the thing about Jimmy is that he just didn't show me that he cared. Whereas Trey Lance, we'll see what happens with Trey Lance. We'll see what happens with Brock Purdy. We'll see what happens with this whole Niners season with the quarterbacks. But from what I've seen from Trey Lance and Brock Purdy so far is at least they care somewhat, and they care about winning football games, and they care about things. And I'm not saying Jimmy doesn't care, but he doesn't show me that he does. So I can't really say, definitively that Jimmy cares, because from what I've seen from him, he's shown me so far that he doesn't. So Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, on the other hand, they look like they care.
I appreciate Jimmy while he was here. I am glad that it's like a head coach that's been with a team for 10 plus years and they've been an average team. Sometimes you have to fire that coach to get a new voice. I'm glad, yes, that Jimmy G has moved on. I think it's lightweight foul to say because someone smiles on the sideline. I know, you're not the only person to say that. It's on Twitter, but what do you want this guy to be? A robot? You want him to not be on the sideline with his teammates? You want him to be up in the booth? Like, I just feel like Jimmy can't please everyone, but we won't have to worry about that discussion from this day forward. But I just think, at least I'm not going to look at a guy smiling on the sideline or after a game, after a loss, and think, well, he's not all in. Like, for me, that's just how I feel. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but to me, that's not a negative of Jimmy. Like, and as you said, we don't know what he does in the off season. Maybe he's not recording himself throwing to guys. Maybe he's not putting that stuff on social media. I don't know, but I appreciate your thoughts on that, Amin. Quick thing, I think I already spoke about McGlinchey. And I don't think I already said Jimmy G. I don't think he's going to lead the Raiders to the playoffs anytime soon. They have a lot of holes on that squad. Let's see. Jag says, do you think we re-sign Brindle and Brunskill? So I don't know if you guys heard, but supposedly, hey, Brindle, when you get a Pro Bowl alternate in your first starting season, man, a lot of teams are calling on, Jake Brindle. So honestly, in my opinion, if we lose Jake Brindle, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think he was solid at his position at center. Wasn't great, but I think we do have reinforcements on the roster, or we can go through the draft. But if we lose Jake Brindle or Brunskill, are the 49ers offensive line doomed, this coming season? What say you, Celts? Are we doomed if we don't re-sign these two guys, or what?
Oh man, I was just spaced out. I was looking at the comment, but I'm seeing, hey man, he closed his eyes when he did the no-look pass in Miami from Terradome. I see Last Second Sports up in the house. We got Jesse Naylor. What's up, my man? He says, what's up, fellas? I see everybody out here. Hey, we are not doomed. We are not doomed because, man, we got plans on top of plans, whether it's in-house, whether we go swoop somebody up. No matter who we plug in, we could stress on it. We could scratch our heads. We could wonder. But look what happened last year. Majority of people were worried about our offensive line, and they strung it together and had a hell of a season. Was it good enough? For who they are, yeah, it was good enough. But did we win a Super Bowl? No, but there's all kind of different reasons why that didn't come to fruition. But I think we might be picking up a different center. It looks like it could, like Brindle could get paid somewhere else, and we're going to see how that plays out. Who knows what's going to happen with McKivitz, Burford. We still got Zakil, Poe. Who knows how much they believe in those guys, but I'm pretty sure there's some of these guys are going to take a leap up. Some of these guys are going to step up, and whether we get someone in the draft or free agency, I bet it's going to be better than last year. No matter what the surface looks like. That's just, I got to believe it, man. I see what the 49ers are doing, and whether it looks like it on the surface or not, it really is brick by brick. So I appreciate it, man, and I'm rocking with it.
I'm thinking either Jake Brendel or Daniel Brunskill will be back. This team, Kyle Shanahan, he's going to want like a known commodity at the center position. I know like Larry Krueger, who I talked to, is high on Nick Zakel potentially being a center of the future. But we just haven't seen it yet. And I think Kyle and John, they're going to want a known commodity. So if Jake gets priced out, which I don't think he will. I mean, he was pretty good this year, fellas. Like, he was pretty good. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He's worked a lot with our offensive line coach, Chris Forrester, in Miami. He's going to take probably the best offer because Jake Brendel's a guy who hasn't cashed in. He's never gotten that big contract. So there is a chance that he gets paid more elsewhere, in which case I think they would bring back Daniel Brunskill because we know Brunskill was the backup center. But here's the thing with Brunskill, fellas. He can play all 5 offensive line positions. Like, Brunskill's a guy where if you can get him back at a value, and I don't think he's going to cost much. I don't think a team's going to pay Brendel more than, $3 or $4 million. So if that's the case, bring Brunskill back because I just think he's solid. Like, he's a great backup literally at all 5 positions. And, we didn't see him a ton at center because Jake Brendel led the offense in snaps. It was a guy who was healthy all year. You look at the snap log on offense, Jake Brendel's at the top. So we're going to have one of these 2 veterans back. I would definitely like Brunskill back just because I think he can be a backup swing tackle. He can fill in a guard. So I'm not paying either one of them big bucks, though. That's the thing. It's all got to be for the right price. We can get Jake Brendel back for, $7 million. I'm for it. If we can get Brunskill back for $3 or $4 million, I'm all for it.
Cha-ching.
What say you, Amin?
I mean, I agree with Baller, right? I wouldn't overpay for both of these guys. I think if one of these guys has, a chance of coming back, I think that would be Daniel Brunskill over Jake Brendel because it looks like teams are interested in Jake Brendel. Obviously, being a Pro Bowl alternate last season. I obviously wouldn't overpay for both of these guys because I think we can do better. And like, that's the thing with the Mike McGlinchey situation also is that I wanted Mike McGlinchey gone. I think it was time to, move on from Mike McGlinchey. I wasn't one of those people that called Mike McGlinchey trash. I thought he was okay. He obviously made, some mistakes and some really obvious mistakes, but I didn't think he was trash. But for what the Broncos paid him, which was $80 million, even if we were cap rich, I wouldn't pay Mike McGlinchey that much money.
No.
Like that's atrocious to me. Paying Mike McGlinchey 5-year, $80 million. I don't know how much of it is guaranteed. 50 something, 60 million guaranteed. I wouldn't pay Mike McGlinchey that much. That's too much for me. So Mike McGlinchey isn't a bad player. Is he great? No, but he's not worth that much. And the same thing that goes for Brendel and Brunskill is that I don't think they're bad players. But I just wouldn't overpay for them. So if the Niners have the ability to bring them back, I would. But if you can't bring them back and teams are offering, a higher price and paying a little bit more than the Niners, and Brendel wants to go to the Texans or Brunskill wants to go to the Dolphins, and they're getting a better offer there, I wouldn't overpay for both of these guys because I think we can do better.
Well said by all 3 of you gents. I can't really add much more to that. I agree. You're not going to overpay for either one. Brunskill obviously can play all 5 spots, so he's going to be. He knows the Shanahan offense. He's going to be more valuable to us than any other team. But I wanted to real quick piggyback. We didn't really touch on Javon Kinlaw. I mentioned him briefly. Obviously, he hasn't worked out with the 49ers. Former first-round pick. We obviously drafted him because we traded away DeForest Buckner. But supposedly Javon Kinlaw is on the trade block. What say you? Do you want to give Javon Kinlaw one last shot with the 49ers? We're obviously not going to pick up his 5th-year option the following season. Or do you think we should just trade him, try to get as much as or try to get anything that we can for Javon Kinlaw? Let me read real quick Pterodon's comment. He says, Javon Kinlaw, Moot Dog, or whatever you're calling yourself these days, you can go to. Thanks for the memories. Bullying the little podcasters and getting ragdoll in the NFC Championship game isn't a winner's recipe. Wow, shots fired. Tell me how you really feel, Pterodon. Yeah, that definitely wasn't a good look for Javon Kinlaw. You know, I thought he was going to have a much better season, especially coming into camp. A lot was riding on this season, and unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way he wanted or anyone else wanted. But what say you, Celts? Trade Kinlaw, just get a 6th round pick, move on, or give Kinlaw one more shot? I mean, he's going to be playing limited snaps at this point in his tenure with the Niners. So what say you?
I ain't the one. I ain't the one. Oh, man, it was embarrassing, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. I didn't even know how to react to that whole thing when that whole thing went down. But, you know, after reflecting on that whole thing, yeah, that was pretty weak. That was weak sauce. Regardless whether he knows what I look like or not, that was weak. Just like Pterodon said, that's just not a winning recipe. You know, I don't want to say it, but certain people that hold certain weight, you know, move in silence. I'll just say it like that. But anyways, to get off of that hype and that you know, deep hype, yeah, man. I mean, what could we really get? Maybe not too much. What do we really got to lose if, I don't know, a roster spot's a tough situation. I mean, he could kick rocks, but at the same time, you know, he could stay here at the same time. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. It is what it is. You know, that's just the way I see it. It's a coin toss. It doesn't really, I don't think it's going to really matter either which way you go. So,
okay. What say you, Eric?
You know, here's my thing with Javon. The 49ers, they have all the pictures of his knee, right? They know it kind of exactly, maybe they don't know exactly what's going on, but if they think he's damaged goods and the knee will never be right, then you trade him and you get whatever you can for him, right? But if they do think, you know, maybe with an off season, another rehab, so I would probably no team's giving you a 1st round, 2nd round pick for this guy for sure, right? We all know that. You know, 3rd round, I think that's also probably unlikely. I don't think a team would even give you a 3rd round pick for Javon Kinlaw right now, but maybe a 4, maybe a 5, and I'd consider it. But if they do think there's a chance Javon potentially with, you know, the 6 months off, 5 months, you know, just kind of easing up on the knee, if they think that might cool things down, I'm not going to give him away. You don't cut him. You invested a lot into him. He hasn't looked good. We all saw that. So if, you know, the Niners know what's going on, that's what I'm getting at. They know what's going on with his knee. And if they don't think he's going to be right, then you trade him. If there's a chance that, hey, he might be able to get back on the field and contribute, then you don't take a 6th round pick for him.
Hey, how ironic is it though, too, at the same time that, you know, we basically traded DeForest Buckner for Kinlaw, you know, when you really break it down. And then it kind of feels like we just got Hargraves to replace Kinlaw. It just
We traded Kels. We traded DeForest Buckner for nothing. If we're being completely honest, we traded DeForest Buckner for nothing because Kinlaw, you know, no disrespect to him. I wish him all the best in his career. I wish him all the best. But he really, really didn't impact the Niners.
What about, hey, you don't remember that one time when he flew into the end zone from the, what was that pick? Did he intercept
Taking the
it versus
Rams.
He had a
Rams?
pick 6 or was that a fumble?
Yeah,
it was a fumble.
it was
Pickup,
a
did
pick
that whole
6.
front
It was
flip.
a tipped ball that got deflected.
But even the
that
way he
landed
flew
in
into the end zone, I was kind of like, oh, the knee. He's gonna. He didn't even kind of land right. But hey, he did at least give us that on the Levi South. So, but I hear you. I mean, real talk, man. It went from a cornerstone piece, you know, a big reason why we went to the Super Bowl in 2019 to, you know, him getting, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, they were pushing that man versus the Eagles like he was like one of those sleds, you know, one of those sleds you push, you know, to, oh man, it was bad. It was bad.
No, but that's the thing though about that whole trade, and I think I've said it before, but it was not necessarily the trade for the first round pick, and you swapped DeForest Buckner. I would have still loved to have DeForest Buckner on this team, but it wasn't necessarily the trade. It's just how Kinlaw panned out for this team, because and I've mentioned this trade before, but like the Jefferson Diggs trade, right? They traded Stephon Diggs. They got the first round pick. The first round pick ends up being Justin Jefferson, swapping for a receiver. Wow, Justin Jefferson's great. Top 5 receiver, arguably the best receiver in the NFL. If you traded DeForest Buckner and you got somewhat of level of productivity from Javon Kinlaw, you saw him improving. He was able to stay healthy. He was able to play majority of the games, and he was somewhat of a contributor. I don't think we would be as mad or look at, hey, what if we didn't trade DeForest Buckner? What if we kept DeForest Buckner? But because it, panned out and worked out so poorly, I don't really, that's why that DeForest Buckner trade ultimately will be a loss for the Niners and will be a win for the Colts, because it just ended up so poorly for this team, and this whole Kinlaw experiment hasn't been a great one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they obviously did not want to play DeForest Buckner, and I think I saw something on Twitter that DeForest Buckner and Javon Hargrave got the same contract, I believe. So it's funny how that worked out, but unfortunately for Kinlaw, it didn't work out. Obviously, as Amin said, wish him the best, but the 49ers knew of his knees when they drafted him. So I don't even really blame Kinlaw. I blame the 49ers. And hey, hopefully Kinlaw can have success elsewhere. But as far as the question, I would keep Kinlaw unless someone offered me. I just don't see why a team would trade for him. I just don't see that happening. But I think we give Kinlaw one more chance.
I would.
He might not even make the. Well, he'll probably make the team because his salary. But
no, I would agree with the rest of the crew that I would keep Kinlaw unless the team would offer me something for Kinlaw. I would keep him.
Yeah.
Depending on what the knee is, right? Because I don't know the whole knee situation. I don't think any of us know the whole knee situation. Depending on how it looks, but if if there's some somewhat of an improvement, and his knee is looking better, and if he had the off season to just work and and just rest and get his knee back to shape. I think we should keep Kinlaw. Like, that's the thing about the Niners, and just in specific with this draft pick, is that because he's a first round pick, it's hard to let him go just yet. And I think yes, they could obviously if you got assets for him, but like kind of the same thing. And I'm not in no way comparing Ambry and Javon Kinlaw, but like the same thing kind of with Ambry is that Ambry, you hear all these things about the struggles in training camp and everything, but you gave up so much for Ambry. I forgot who it was. Who was the corner last year? We had one corner in training back that people were talking about that ended up getting cut, and they kept Ambry Thomas over. I don't know if any of you guys remember. But like the same thing with Kinlaw is because of where you drafted him, his draft status, and he hasn't been the best for you. But I think they end up keeping Kinlaw depending on how the knee looks, unless you can get somewhat of assets for Kinlaw. But I doubt any team will trade for Kinlaw. Like, who wants Kinlaw with the whole knee thing? Hasn't been able to stay on the field. Like, who's really giving you something for Javon Kinlaw?
Agreed.
David
And also the
McNiner.
49ers cut him. Just real quick, the 49ers cut Kinlaw. I think it's a dead cap hit of $4.9 million. So why do that when you can just keep him on the roster and just hope? But obviously you'll have reinforcements. I mean, the 49ers under contract, all we have is what? Khalil Davis, Hargrave, and Armstead. And I think Givens is a restricted free agent. So I think he can't talk with any team, but I still think the Niners are going to draft another young defensive tackle. So, we'll see if he even makes the roster. Honestly, Javon Kinlaw, we'll see what happens. But what were you going to say, Kelts?
Oh no, Amin was talking about the other cornerback.
Yeah,
Quantrez Knight. Is that who you were talking about?
I don't know if it was Quantrez Knight. It was someone else. Who was the corners like in training camp last season? It was Quantrez Knight.
Dante Johnson.
No, Dante Johnson's been on the team forever, man. Ever since I've been watching Niner football, Dante Johnson comes back some way. He makes himself back to this team. Like, he always finds himself back.
He's like Michael Myers, man. He ain't going away. What you had? Ambry Thomas. You had Lenore, Sammy Womack.
One more.
I'm thinking it's Knight.
Thinking it's Knight.
Yeah.
There's also Tariq Castro Fields.
Tariq
when he
Castro
played
Fields. There we
safety.
go. Tariq Castro Fields. There we
They
go.
cut him.
We're also
There we
forgetting
go.
I don't even
about
Castro Fields.
Got on with
And
another
what
team.
I've heard is Tariq Castro Fields had a better training camp than Ambry Thomas last year. So
we're also
like,
forgetting
going back to-
Womack.
Yeah, so going back to that point where like Tariq Castro Fields had a better training camp, but because of where they drafted Ambry Thomas, they decided to keep Ambry Thomas instead of Tariq Castro Fields, even though one, from what I've heard from every reporter, had a better training camp just because of where they drafted Ambry. So like, not exactly, but in the same way where Kinlaw, where you drafted him, and because he hasn't played, it's hard to get assets from him, because where you drafted him, I think the Niners do end up keeping him.
I think that's part of the story. I know we all like to believe in a meritocracy, but money matters, and there's no way. I mean, we kept what's his name, Jalen Hurts on the squad, or not Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurd. We kept him.
Niners
on the
had
squad.
Jalen Hurts.
We also kept Trey Sermon. So I think that's just part of the story. You're not gonna, when you invest a lot in a player, you're just not gonna give up on them. Quick, fast, in a hurry. You're going to try to give him every benefit of the doubt. I wanted to touch on, actually, Amin wanted to touch on some of the action in the NFC West. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks had a pretty good year. They re-signed Geno. I don't know what the hell the Cardinals are doing. Who knows when Kyler Murray will be back, but, the LA Rams have recently made some moves, and, they traded away Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins, which that'll be, I think it's a pretty good move for the Dolphins. But what are your thoughts on that? If you had any thoughts on that, Amin, take it away.
Man, when I saw this trade, like, obviously Jalen Ramsey, we were talking about it on the last episode. We're like, Jalen Ramsey potentially to the Niners. Would you give up Ayuk? Would you give up Debo?
Right.
Would you give up a second? What would you be willing to do to get Jalen Ramsey on your football team? A third-round pick in Hunter Long? A third-round pick in Hunter Long?
Wow.
Like, y'all have fun with that, LA. Like, I understand, you got to get rid of some pieces, but a third-round pick in Hunter Long, a tight end who's had one catch for 8 yards in the league, for the best cornerback in the NFL, arguably the best cornerback in the NFL. Like,
that's the best they could do.
If I was the Niners, I would lie. If I was the Niners, I'd be like, y'all want a third, and we'll give you Ross Dwelly, and we'll give you.
They didn't want to trade him individually.
The Niners could have topped that offer, and then the Rams still wouldn't have done it. But I'm surprised. Where's the rest of the league at? Like,
a third?
You didn't want to offer a second to top the Dolphins, or did the Rams not call around and be like, hey, we're about to trade Ramsey for a third-round pick. Like, can you top that? Like, that's what I do in my fantasy football league. Like, I don't know.
How old is Ramsey?
Doing that? He's 28.
And they gave up 2 first-round picks for Ramsey. They gave up 2 first-rounders for Ramsey.
They gave up 2 firsts for him, and they get a third-round pick.
And he really don't have an injury history, right? So it's kind of like, it just makes you like, I don't know. That's a trick.
Well, his salary this year, or his cap hit, is 17 mil. So I guess not every AFC team could obviously accommodate that type of salary, and also he's going to be a free agent next year. So, or I should say, there's a potential out.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a potential out next year. So if the Finns cut him next year, it's a 0 dead cap. So basically, Ramsey has no more guaranteed money after this season. So, but not every team can accommodate that. So, but yeah, I was surprised as well that they traded him to the Finns. I guess there wasn't either a huge market, or I guess there was so much chatter around Ramsey that maybe people thought that the Rams would cut him, so they didn't want to give up a lot of compensation for him. That's the only thing I could really think of. What a Beto. Niners Sickness. What's good? What a Beto. Niners Sickness says the reason why the Dolphins did not give up so much was because they took on the complete full contract of Ramsey. Okay.
But it seemed like the Falcons has a bunch of cap, and it's like you didn't want to give out. Like, there's teams with cap. We saw what the Bears did today. We saw what the Broncos did today. Like, there's teams with some cap that it just felt like, Ramsey could have transitioned nicely. But hey, as Niners fans, bravo, Rams. You played yourself.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hey, they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. I mean, like, they won the Super Bowl. Imagine they didn't win the Super Bowl and you got to get rid of Ramsey and all that. Like, they completed the mission, right? Because we obviously knew with all the trades that they made. But, like, what's funny is I was thinking about this the other day was that, when the trade happened, they have this thing, the F them picks, And I mean, literally, Les Snead was like, F them picks. We'll take a third rounder for Jalen Ramsey. Like, frick it. We'll take the third Hunter Long. F them picks. Like, all right, we'll give you arguably the best corner for a third round pick. One little thing from to keep an eye out for is Emmanuel Mosley has spoken with 2 playoff teams today who like him, and from what I'm hearing is that Mosley will be 100% ready for camp. So 2 other playoff teams are interested in Emmanuel Mosley. So there is competition for Emmanuel Mosley.
I heard that the 49ers will match anything that a team offers him. But, I mean, does anyone really think a team would offer him a multi-year contract extension? I mean, I know torn ACL is something that pretty much you'll come back from and you'll be normal. But, I mean, he has had some injury concerns, in the past. We've seen that.
I could see a 2-year deal. I could see a 2-year because you might be able to get him. A team might say, yeah, it's a little bit of a risk giving him the second year, but that probably means you're getting him at a yearly salary that is beneficial to you. Like maybe you can get him 2 years, 12 mil, something like
Baller.
What's up, Amin?
I see the Warriors sign in the background, and just to point something out, James Wiseman, had a game today, and in 24 minutes, he had 18 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, and shot 53% from the field. Was it a mistake getting rid of James Wiseman?
Did they win? Did the Pistons win?
I have no idea. I don't keep track of the Pistons.
Then it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
James Wiseman. Here's what I'll tell you. I mean, James Wiseman can put together a hell of a highlight reel.
The Pistons won by 20 points.
Pistons won by 20. Okay, here's what I'll tell you about Wiseman.
Is that their first win? With
a hell of a highlight reel, but when you watch him game in and game out, although it's a small sample size. But first of all, James Wiseman doesn't hit the glass. I've said it on my channel. He doesn't attack the glass like you want your big to do it. Shot goes up, and he's just content with just getting boxed out. Like, he is super athletic. He's
methodical.
7'1". He's long. He's got talent, but the shot's kind of clunky, and he doesn't rebound. I mean, he's not. He might be. He's going to be a rotational player in the NBA. But he's not going to be a star. But I got Jaguayo's been telling me to check out this prospect, Felix Uzama. And he's been telling me, Baller, you got to check him out. Jaguayo. I checked out this defensive end from Washington State. Yeah, here it is. Felix Enudike Uzama. I really like him, Jaguayo. Jaguayo put me onto him. This dude's rocked up. He's a strong guy, and he's got speed. He's got acceleration.
Oh, where's the block button?
He's a guy who, if in the third round,
where's the timeout
if he's
button?
There at the end of the third round, Jaguayo, Niners got to be all over it. With how talented he looked on film, I don't think this guy's making it to the end of the third round. So if the Niners wanted him, Jaguayo, they probably got to go up.
I like Niner Sickness's podcast. Niner Sickness's comment. I mean, he made a very, very
hold on a minute.
Valid point. I like the comment.
What are you talking about? I mean,
he's like, what comment?
We're the champs. You better put some respect on the Warriors.
I mean, like, we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I remember when Jimmy Garoppolo was struggling at times, we were like, it's not what he's done. It's not what you're doing. It's what you've been doing for me recently, what you've been doing for me now. And
we got the
championship
rings on. I mean, at least we're in the playoff hunt. The Lakers, are they even qualified for the playoffs right now?
I mean, we're almost there. We're trying. I mean, we're 7-3 in our last 10 games. So like, I don't know why we're going here, my friend. Like your Warriors team has been losing game after game after game after game.
Hey, do you know how to take someone off of timeout? I put a timeout on Beto, man. I had to time Beto out, but now I feel bad. I want to untime him out. I don't even know how to do it.
Rams fan says Rams run the chat. Oh,
wow.
The Vermilion Sports.
Wow.
I respect it. He came in the chat after the Ramsey trade. I respect it. I mean, he came in here
with a box of tissues next to him.
I think what's his name, Rudy? I think he's an undercover 49er fan. I think he I think he trolls, but I think he genuinely loves it. I don't know. It's a little. Oh, who knows? To each their own. I know he has fun with it. Some
Yes,
of us
sir.
have fun
Tear
with
it
it.
down. Lakers for
Oh
life.
no,
Yes,
man.
sir. Bring that Laker Nation energy.
Oh
Bring
no,
it.
we
Bring it.
got
We love to
Terradome.
see
We
it.
got Terradome, Beto,
We love
Amin.
to
Like,
see it. Yes, sir.
Rudy.
Hey, so with these moves, like what's the top priority, right?
Did
Obviously,
we
it
even
kinda
mention
seems
today? No,
like
wait a minute, baller. Did we even
Yeah.
mention that Aziz is leaving? Like, I mean, are we not gonna put
I
respect
think
on
that was
Aziz?
expected, right?
Did we put
After we re-signed
Where's he
Greenlaw,
going though?
right?
I saw him send something out.
Houston?
Like I saw some
I think
farewell
Houston. He might be
message.
going to Houston.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, he's not going to get much playing time. I mean,
No,
we played
Aziz
it.
deserves to be a number one linebacker somewhere.
Yeah.
He's that good.
Yeah.
I love Aziz so much. I mean, it's so sad to see him go.
Hey, but to answer your question, baller, I would say I still think defensive line. I still think you need another defensive tackle, which they can get in the draft. I still think you want to get an edge rusher. I don't know if you. Hey, I would love to get Arden Key back here, but I heard he could make north of $8 million. So I think that might be too rich for the 49ers. So maybe you add another young edge rusher in the draft, or bring back, Jordan Willis or something like that.
I want Jordan Willis, but they need bodies right now because the only defensive ends under contract are Nick Bosa and Drake Jackson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Those are the only two guys. You need at least 4 or 5 defensive ends, on your 53 opening roster. So there's definitely a need there. And while I really wanted Yannick Ngakoue, I was not expecting to get Javon Hargrave. So at that point, I think that kind of puts you out on a guy like Yannick. I did pull up let me throw out some defensive ends for you.
There's gonna be a veteran. There's gonna be a veteran that won a ring, man. There's gonna be a veteran that believes in it, bro.
Clowney, I know a lot of people don't like him, or they don't think he gives full effort. I think he kicked the tires on Clowney, because I think he's a really talented player who he's really good versus the run. Here's the thing with Hargrave, by the way, fellas. I don't know if you guys know this or not. We talked about how phenomenal of a pass rusher he is. 11 sacks from the interior is ridiculous. He's a big time pass rusher. His PFF run grade is bad. Like, it's in the 50s. So he wasn't good versus the run. I think that's something, and he's done it previously. It was like this is a 1-year thing where he wasn't good versus the run this past year. I think he can improve upon it, but it might be something where they need that 2-down kind of just run stuffer. It might be a good idea to get a 2-down run stuffer, or a guy like Clowney, who's defensive end, but he's really a stout run defender, like almost like how Armstead was when he played end, that big end where he really sets the edge and he's really strong that's what Clowney could bring.
I found something interesting about the 49ers draft. 11 picks this year. The 49ers did not trade in the draft last year. I mean, does everyone think that the 49ers will select 11 players in this year's draft, or do we draft up or down?
I think we trade up. I don't know where, but it's been like a trend the last couple of years, trading up at least once in the draft. So I think they'll do that. Hey, baller, have you watched the game today? I mean, Clay is cooking.
Oh yeah, we're what?
No.
75-58.
I mean, I love it. I mean, Clay's on my fantasy team. We're in the playoffs. We got a playoff game to win. Like, cook, Clay, cook. Do your thing.
All right.
Hey,
in this room, I don't got my TV in front of me over
Clay
here.
got
Bob.
33 in 18 minutes, man. Clay has 8 3-pointers. Clay is locked in today.
I got it right here, man. Hey, we see the true colors coming out. It's not just the fantasy. I think that's a little bit of that. I think it's
the fantasy. We got the fantasy playoffs, and I mean, Wiggins. I don't know what the hell is going on with him. He hasn't been on playing for like weeks. I wish him all the best, though. I know something personal. I wish him all the best. Hopefully he returns soon. But
when was the last time the Warriors and the Lakers faced each other in the playoffs? Because I would love to see that. I would love to see that, but that's
a healthy Lakers team versus a healthy Warriors team. I like the matchup. I like the matchup, especially with D'Angelo Russell, how he's been cooking lately. I like the matchup.
For sure. Yeah, Clay's getting it though. It's 75-58 Warriors right now, getting ready for the playoffs.
Sounds like it's looking for them. Any other topics tonight, gentlemen?
Hey, I think it was phenomenal by the 49ers doing what they did to go get the grave digger, you know.
The
Yeah,
golden,
so
golden, the golden.
the golden grave digger. Let's get it. Hey, man. Hey, we're beefing it back up, back in the trenches. That's what we needed to do. So, hey, man, let's just keep this thing rolling. Let's keep E-Man in town. And I mean, what else do we really need to do? I mean, what are the
Address
next
the
big,
offensive line.
big
Address the
things?
offensive
Yeah.
line.
Offensive line and then more depth on the
Extend
D line.
Bosa. Extend Bosa. Interested to see how that
Yeah.
goes. They didn't place the franchise tag on him. Extend Bosa. Obviously re-sign Emmanuel Mosley, but I'm interested to see how they address, the offensive line. Is Colton McKivitz the answer at right tackle? Is he going to be the guy, or are they going to draft someone else?
Might be.
Need another tight end.
Yeah.
Need a tight
Another
end.
tight end, Laporta.
Yeah.
Laporta, man. Hey, I like Laporta, bro.
Hey,
like
Celts, Laporta. I just watched a ton of the NFL draft prospects at the tight end position.
Hey, Kittle is probably hey, that's my Iowa brother right there. Hey, let's go.
Let me tell you something about Laporta. That dude was reminding me of Dallas Clark back with Peyton Manning, kind of just that do-it-all slot. He's kind of more of a receiver than he is like a rugged blocking tight end. But if you bring in a guy like Laporta, then that's when, all right, Kittle, like now we do need you to block a little bit more because Laporta is a really good receiver. But I got one tight end I want Kelts and I want you guys to take a look at is this dude, Zach Kuntz at an Old Dominion. And he ran a 4.55 at the combine, which is just a blazing 40-yard dash for tight ends. So that's probably pushing him up the board. But when you watch the film, you see 6'6". He's plucking balls that are like 10 feet high, the size of the basketball rim. He's just he's really coordinated.
Tony Gonzalez.
He's athletic. This dude, Zach Kuntz. We got those 3 third-round picks, and I'm like, man, I'm kind of salivating at the thought of adding a guy like Kuntz with one of those third-round picks.
Do you think one of those two will be available then, or will they go in the first 2 rounds?
I hope.
I don't think Laporta's going to be there. I think Laporta's he's a little too high up on the board. He's really good, but I think Kuntz will be there. Small school, and actually he had a knee injury this past year. Only played 5 games, but the year before that, he caught like 70 balls and was ultra productive. So I think Kuntz, being a small school guy, will be there in the 3rd round, and I think it's a really high upside swing.
But will John Lynch and the Niners pull the trigger on drafting a tight end? I'm trying to remember, when was the last time they drafted a tight end day 2? I mean, Kittle was day 3.
Charlie Warner was day 3. Or he was undrafted. Yeah. No, he was day 3.
Charlie Warner?
Charlie Warner.
I'd have to look. I'm not sure.
I think he was
but
6th round.
They don't draft tight ends really. I mean, but I hope you're
right.
I
mean, they need to do something. They got to add something because, I mean, Ross Dwelley could barely get on the field.
Right.
Charlie Warner didn't do nothing all year. And, they
what's the other guy?
Who blew the block?
Missed the block.
Croft.
Yeah. Croft, exactly.
Yeah, to go. Get him out of here.
Yeah. Didn't do anything for me.
And I heard, I believe it was Breezy. I believe it was Wayne Breezy. I'm pretty sure he was the first one I heard a while back say, talking about getting the speed back. And then after I heard that, I started, the more I started thinking about it, Raheem Mostert, the more I started thinking, how would you guys feel about getting a speed back in the draft? Like, it feels like that's.
I would love it.
I mean, I would love it. I know I threw that in on Twitter.
Hey, the dudes who did you put in that in the videos of the clips of the running backs who you put in the chat?
Bro,
I was like, okay, these running backs looking good.
Keaton Mitchell, I believe it's Keaton Mitchell, and then just another Mitchell. I'm trying to think where he's from, but anyways, hey, it's Keaton Mitchell, and I'm trying to think of how to pronounce that last guy's.
Those dudes
the other
popped
dude
off on the screen.
I think it was Aiken, if that's how you Kane or something like that. But I think Texas A&M. Oh no, I'd have to go look it back up. But I was really, really just diving into just watching the tape of a good like 7 to 10 guys. I just found the 10 fastest guys, and I was really just breaking them all down, and those were the 2 guys who stuck out to me. And I was like, hey man, if we hey, if we could get our hands, because I view that kind of speed, especially in the Shanahan scheme, those are game-changing type of things. You know, we had our best seasons when Mostert was freaking taking it to the house, not just coming up 5-10 yards short, then you possibly kick a field goal. When you're able to take it all the way and have that home run threat, it's a game changer. CMC is great. You know, Mason, he could be great. You know, who else? Elijah Mitchell, you know, I love him as well. But
Then
hey,
you can't stay on the field.
yeah, exactly. So, hey, to have that versatile speed back and then you mix in some Danny Gray, man, hey, let's get it. Let's go. You know, hopefully we get to see him on the field if he's, you know, if he could block, you know, no block, no rock, but hopefully he steps up and we get to see that explosiveness in the speed.
Hey, agreed. Well, if that's it, any last comments before we head on out?
Baller, who's your number one quarterback in this upcoming NFL draft?
It's Bryce Young. And I've seen a lot of speculation.
CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud?
The Carolina Panthers, who did they trade up for? They gave a lot for that number one spot. I don't know what you guys are hearing, but I've heard 4 different names. I've heard CJ Stroud. I've heard Will Levis. I've heard Anthony Richardson. I've heard Bryce Young. So I've heard these 4 different guys. I want to hear who you guys think the Panthers are trading up for. I think it's Bryce Young. I think obviously we know he's undersized, but I think he's the best quarterback in this class. He's got the baller stamp of approval.
It's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. It's either one of those two. Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. One quarterback that I'm really excited for that's not even in this draft is Caleb Williams. Oh my goodness. Caleb Williams is ridiculous. Like if I was the Panthers, or if I was a team that was, you know, that needed to trade up for the number 1 overall pick next year, in next year's draft, I would in a heartbeat, because that's how much faith I have in Caleb Williams. If he goes to the right situation, Caleb Williams is going to be something special.
Hey, good point by Jaguar. But hey, man, how many years has Richardson played? Because it's like, how can you not, like, what is the knock on Richardson? I mean, you know,
but the thing is, like, I've heard in his first 4 games last year, he didn't throw a touchdown, and then every other game was like 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It was like
accuracy. Accuracy is
also another.
He's got all the tools. Like he's even more toolsy than Trey Lance, to be honest. And Trey Lance is a very toolsy prospect, but Richardson's tools even feel like they might. But
Jaguar just made a point. But you could go ahead, Jay. You know, as far
no, go ahead.
Excuse me.
Yeah, about the kicker. I mean,
Jake Moody.
We might draft a kicker, or maybe we'll. Yeah, Moody out of Michigan. You know, that's what all the mock drafts.
I think they're going with a vet. I think they're bringing in a veteran.
Matt Gay.
That's cool too. Honestly, I don't really care who the kicker is.
Matt Gay,
someone to do the job.
Nice. Maybe nice. I know.
Larry
wants Yarrow from the Panthers. There's some guys, you know, Chase McLaughlin is going to be a free agent. Like
no, Baller, no.
Okay, you're right.
No, Baller.
Yeah, we want to get better. Baller. It's all about upgrading. That's why it's like, well, what positions can we still upgrade at? That's the goal of the offseason, right?
Baller. My only knock on Chase McLaughlin is that Monday Night Football game, Robbie Gould was injured. Game on the line.
Yeah, I know he missed a big kick. And I'm
just like, oh my goodness. Like, that just broke my heart. Like, the Niners were undefeated. The Patriots lost. They were the last undefeated team. Could go on to 10-0, and he shanks it. I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Hey, I see you, Dolly. We got Dolly in here. Says, and good stuff for coming through, by the way. I don't know what channel you're
Dolly. On. Sorry we missed your question.
No, I see you, Dooley. I see you said you haven't got no questions answered. Hey, that's the one downside to having the chat on the side. Sometimes it's easy to not pay attention to it, but I'm going to look you up. Who do you think? This is Dooley.
Yeah, let's get Dooley.
Who do you think is going to play when both quarterbacks are healthy, Brock or Trey?
Oh, that's a really good question. And
it's going to be Brock.
Whoa, he just spit it out there. He just... Bam.
Yeah, I mean, no, Kels, I mean, you're coming from, but here's the thing. If Brock's not ready at the start of the year, right, and Trey gets his opportunity, and I know, Kels, I know how much you love Trey Lance,
Man,
And
his picture
you
is
know,
right there, man. His
Phelps,
pi-
you're a believer. You think he sees that moment? Like, what if Trey gets on the field, all of a sudden fireworks start popping off? He's throwing 50-yard bombs down the field, like we know he has the potential to do. Like, if Trey gets the opportunity, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's a chance that he seizes the moment and runs with it. And guess what? Now everyone in the locker room's like, you see Trey out there? Like,
Dang, Trey really was this good. Yeah, huh?
so it's possible. Like, I know what you mean. Brock, we saw him. He's super consistent. He's a good quarterback. Brock is good. I think Trey might be great.
One thing
find out.
One thing I do have to say about Brock, and I hear some people talk about, well, Jimmy did this no, Jimmy did not do what Brock did when Jimmy first came in. Jimmy was barely winning. He won the 49ers won 5 straight games when he came in. But
Nah, you said it right the first time. Jimmy won them games, man. It was all Jimmy.
But Jimmy wasn't lighting it. I mean, you see what Purdy's doing as far as extended plays, arm angles, the heart, the fight. I mean, I feel like Brock is way better than Jimmy, but Trey can definitely be better than both of them. It's just, and right now the 49ers obviously trust and believe in Brock. Like, that's the guy they want. Even the locker room, they're like, hey, this guy just won us two playoff games as a 7th rounder. Like, they're just looking, so it is what it is. We're gonna see. Who knows? It could be Sam freaking Darnold for all we know. I know people are like, oh, yeah, no way. It ain't gonna. Hey, we don't know. We do not know when it comes to the 49ers. If I was talking off feelings, I'd be pointing to this man right up on the wall, Trey Lance, Trey area. Let's get it. Let's go. But it's, there's no telling how it's going to unfold.
Yeah, to answer Dooley's question, he said, is Brock going to be healthy next year? He should be healthy next year. My big question is that, let's say Trey Lance takes that leap next year. You see the improvement in training camp. You see the flashes. You hear all the guys that go to training camp, Grant, Larry Krueger, all those guys that, they see the leap that Trey Lance took. The biggest question that I have is that one of the big reasons why I feel like Brock Purdy had a successful year, and people don't talk about it as much, and I know we've talked about it on this show, so forget what I just said, but Shanahan backed Brock Purdy. And what I mean by that is he trusted Brock Purdy. He trusted the decisions that he made. He trusted him enough where Brock Purdy could make audibles on the line, depending on what he saw from the defense. You could see that Shanahan said he fully trusted Brock Purdy to control this offense, to execute this offense. And when you saw Trey Lance in there, and yes, it was a small sample size, what you saw from it is that Shanahan clearly didn't trust Trey Lance. And a lot of it, yes, you saw the monsoon game. It was him mainly running the ball, which I understand that you can't really say. But we haven't seen necessarily Shanahan trust Trey Lance enough to throw the ball. Like, even in that Seattle game, majority of it was like, all right, we're running up the middle, or QB draws, or, we're calling QB draws. Even in the Cardinals game, it was like QB draw. When you saw in the Miami Dolphins game and throughout Brock Purdy, playing the games that he's played, you saw Shanahan trust Brock Purdy and his ability in his decision, trusting his ability to make decisions, trusting him to execute this offense. Whereas, let's say Trey Lance does take that leap, will Shanahan trust him? And that's the question that, even people talk about. What if the Niners drafted Mahomes? What if the Niners traded for Lamar Jackson? Would Mahomes be Mahomes, or would Lamar Jackson, work with the Niners? Because we don't know if Shanahan would trust those guys. Where if you look at, like I mentioned this on the last stream, what Mahomes said about Andy Reid was that Andy Reid trusted me. And the reason why I'm, what I am right now is, yes, obviously the work that I put in, and, obviously we know Mahomes' arm strength, the decision making, the freak of nature that he is. But one of the huge reasons why he is successful, because Andy Reid backs him, he trusts him, and he said, go and execute the offense, be you, and help us win football games. And that's what you saw Shanahan do with Brock Purdy. But, we know Shanahan trusts Brock Purdy, but even if Trey Lance takes that monumental leap that we're all hoping, will Shanahan trust Trey Lance? And that's one question that we still don't know, and that still hasn't been answered.
I think it's like we said a few weeks back. where we all pretty much agreed that it was the situation that forced Shanahan into the trust. It was like, okay, I don't got nothing to lose now. I'm down to my freaking seventh string. So I feel like he tightened up, like Baller was saying a few weeks back. Like he got tight when it came to Trey because he had this is the third overall pick, all the capital, all this stuff. So I think it really kind of comes down to, it's like, all right, you got this guy, Trey Lance. It's like you took the shot to go get him. Now take the shot on the field. Like let him be a freaking quarterback. That's just the way I see it. You don't take the shot and then start half stepping once you get on the field. Like, hey, go full throttle, man. You did it with Brock and it panned out well. Put some faith. We are the faithful, Shanahan. Be a part of it. Have faith, have trust. Get it done, son.
I think the 49ers are in a great situation, especially if Brock Purdy is on the PUP list at the beginning of the year. Trey Lance will have 6 games to prove he can, at least be as good as Brock. If he is, I think he stays the starter. If he doesn't, maybe you'll see Sam Darnold put in, or maybe you'll see Brock put back in once he's healthy. But, time will tell. We don't know how Brock Purdy will recover from the surgery. We're hoping everything goes well, but in a best case scenario, he should be back in August, late August. So, I hope best for his recovery. I think we'll see how Trey does. Hopefully he does well. He'll have George Kittle hopefully healthy, CMC healthy, Debo will have a plethora of options at his disposal. So I think the sky is the limit for Trey Lance and this offense. But I want to thank everyone for coming out to the show tonight. Everyone that was leaving comments in the chat. We appreciate you guys supporting us tonight, liking the video. Make sure you subscribe. Straight Out of the Bay YouTube channel. Jay in the Bay, BayAreaBaller18, Amin the Dream, and Kelts Chronicles. Feel free to subscribe to all our YouTube channels. We'll be back. Hey, we'll see what happens, but we will be back much sooner than later. But if no one else has anything else to say, we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Niners.
Fellas, had a blast. Javon Hargrave, choo choo.
Go Lakers, go Lakers. We trying to make it to the playoffs.
Oh no, where's the mute button? Hey, my mouse died. Mute him, Jay. Mute him, Jay.
See y'all in the next one, man.
All right, y'all. Peace. Up. Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.